Hey guys, Thomas Joseph here with another kitchen conundrum. Now, have you been in this pickle before where you're ready to make your favorite biscuit recipe and you notice that you don't have any baking powder in the house? All you have is some baking soda. Well, today I'm going to share with you what you can do if you are missing this ingredient and you need to substitute, and also what these ingredients actually are and how they leaven baked goods. So hopefully you'll avoid the conundrum of a flat, flaky-less biscuit like the one I have here. So let's get started. What baking soda does is, in recipes, in baking, it reacts with acidic ingredients. So remember when you were a kid and you did those science experiments where you mixed a little bit of baking soda with some vinegar? It's the same thing here. You'll see this is how the reaction takes place when you are making your baked goods. So a little bit of baking soda into some vinegar and it should bubble up and foam. And this is what's actually happening in the baking process when you're making your baked goods. These bubbles are released, the gases are released, and that gives you the lightness in your biscuit, for example. Now, baking powder is a little bit different. It actually has baking soda in it. It's one of the components, but what baking powder also has in it is an acidic component, and it also has a moisture absorbing agent, something typical like cornstarch or something like that. So baking powder, all you really need to do is to add baking powder in a recipe that has some moisture to it, because that moisture encourages a similar reaction like this. Most baking powders out there on the market are what you call double acting. So not only do they react when you have a ingredient that has a lot of moisture to it, but it also reacts with heat. So it starts leavening when you mix your batter or your cookie dough together, and then it also works when you put it in the oven. So there are two stages at which the baked good is being leavened. And to demonstrate that, I have some hot water here. Now the water, that's the moisture ingredient, so that will encourage the first reaction, and it's hot, so the heat reaction will also activate at this time. So sprinkling in a little bit of the baking powder, you should get this bubbling up, and again, those bubbles create the leavening, and that's what gives you the lightness in your baked good. Now, here's the conundrum. What if you only have baking soda or you only have baking powder in your house and your recipe calls for the other? Well, say your recipe calls for 1 teaspoon of baking soda, you're going to need 3 times as much baking powder in that recipe. If your recipe calls for a teaspoon of baking powder and you only have baking soda, you'll need to use about 1/3 of a teaspoon of baking soda. And since you're missing in baking soda the acidic ingredient in the box, you need to add a little bit of acid to your recipe as well. So that would be about a teaspoon of lemon juice. You could use yogurt, you could use a little bit of buttermilk as well. You might get a slightly different taste when you substitute here, but you will in fact get that leavening that you need. So there you go, guys. If you're ever in a pinch, if you have this conundrum, now you know how to substitute and you know how baking soda and baking powder work. Now, write in the comment section below or reach out to us using the hashtag #KitchenConundrums, and we will answer whatever questions you throw our way, guys.